Welcome back, everybody, to You Did This For Why, the only podcast on the internet where the narrator has the balls to say, I don't think Mike Vick should have been making those dogs fight.
I'm inclined to agree with you there, G.
As usual, I'm joined by my co-host today.
I'm C, and welcome to the podcast, everyone.
And today, I will be telling you the most complex soap opera-ass story of the Hinterkaifeck murders.
The who?
The where, actually.
Can you spell that for me?
No.
I know I ain't gonna make you spell that. No.
No, I will not.
Fair enough. At least you can pronounce it.
So, on March 31st of 1922, in the small hamlet of Kaifeck in Bavaria, a gruesome massacre would take place that would end the lives of 6 people. The victims included Andreas Gruber, his wife Cecilia, their daughter Victoria, and their 2 grandchildren, Joseph and Cecilia. This case remains...
Okay, so that's serious, yeah.
Oh yeah, it remains unsolved to this day and is one of, if not the most brutal killings reported in Germany. It is a grisly tale.
Okay, I'm ready.
Now, while the murderer was never caught, there were many theories as to who the perpetrator was, and today I plan on telling the tale of the Hinterkaifeck murders as well as some of the theories surrounding the case.
All right, fantastic. I can't wait.
So, the Hinterkaifeck farm was located roughly a mile north of the hamlet of Kaifeck, which hence the name Hinterkaifeck. It translates most literally to behind Kaifeck. So,
okay, I mean, I like the simplicity of it. Well, the complex simplicity of it.
It had a dense forest bordering it. The owner of the farm was a woman named Cecilia, whose family had taken ownership of the farmstead in the 1860s. Shortly after her husband died, a servant named Andreas Gruber approached her, apparently wooing her as they would marry not long after and have a daughter named Victoria sometime in the 1880s.
I just immediately go to Hans Gruber. I can't help it, man. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I know. This story is full of the word Gruber, so...
Yeah, okay, I better just get used to that, I guess.
You're going to be thinking of Hans a lot.
I just wanted to respond, with the yippee-ki-yay.
At some point between then and 1922, the ownership of the farm would transfer to Victoria. A couple years before the First World War, Victoria would meet a man named Carl Gabriel and get married. They would go on to have a daughter named Cecilia, named after Victoria's mother. And during their marriage, Carl would tell his family stories about the Gruber family. Stories that include the family being just generally impolite and reserved, cooking terrible food, and just generally being assholes.
Terrible food. So one thing I remember about their house, that meatloaf sucked.
That is the funniest part about it, is like the food was so shit. Like the food was so shit it made it into his testimony.
You can't even make a pretzel.
Carl would eventually die during the first year of World War I while fighting in France, although reportedly his body was never recovered.
Okay, that's interesting because when you were listing off like your genesis there of so-and-so begat so-and-so, it's like everybody in this story dies except for him, I think, right?
Well,
like in this incident, not in a war. Like he died separately, but every other person in this story got killed kind of at the same time.
Oh, the same day, apparently.
Wow. A very unlucky family.
Not long after Carl dies in France, Victoria would give birth to her second child, a son named Joseph. Now, while the father of the child is officially recorded as Lorenz Schlittenbauer, a neighbor of the Grubers, there were many people in town who believed otherwise. Now,
the neighbor.
At this point, Andreas Gruber... Oh yeah. At this point, Andreas Gruber, Victoria's father, had already served a stint in jail for incest, and later reports would lead
Ooh.
people to believe that this did nothing to stop him from continuing his actions. So, a common
Oh,
theory among the town is that Joseph was actually her father's child. So,
that's some Ronald Gene Simmons kind of stuff right there.
Oh yeah.
Hmm. Not sure I agree with that or the Michael Vick thing. I'm still on the fence on both of those.
Now, a few months before March of 1922, the maid who lived and worked on the farm, Crescens Reiger, would also give birth to a child and would leave the farm
Dude,
reportedly not wanting to raise a child on a farm she said was haunted.
dude, if she married Rutger Hauer, could you imagine that wedding invitation?
Dear God, so many fucking
Rutger Hauer,
E's.
and what was her name?
Crescens
Yeah,
Reiger.
exactly. And that's like the greatest name ever for a woman.
You're right. But
Yeah.
a couple key pieces of information are needed here. One being there were definitely some strange happenings being reported on the farm that could lead one to believe that it was haunted. But also at this time, maids would often use haunting as an excuse to leave abusive employers, as stories of abuse and unfair employment would usually hurt their chances of employment elsewhere. So,
I could really see that being a thing. Yeah. Yeah, that's before LinkedIn. You know what I mean?
yeah, right. So it's one of those things where weird shit was happening on this farm, but also with how Andreas was, she could have just been like, "Fuck this shit." like,
Again, sometimes you don't put your 2 weeks notice in. You know what I
yeah,
mean? You just gotta
sometimes you
leave.
just got to get the fuck out of there. Now, some of the things she would report as signs of hauntings were things such as hearing stomping in the attic when no one was up there, waking up in the middle of the night to someone rattling her doorknob, as well as people watching the farm from the tree line before basically just kind of disappearing back into the shadows.
I mean, I've had that happen once where I was at somebody's house and we looked out the window and there was somebody staring back at us from the tree line, and then they just vanished into the woods, and it's pretty unnerving. It make your skin crawl.
I know there have definitely been times where I've been at a field party or something of the same where we just see people with headlights, like little headlamps on, running through the woods, and it's like, well, that's
And
fun.
yeah, why are they out here?
You're right. It's like we're 10 miles down a dirt road. Why the fuck are you out here?
Yeah, exactly.
But on a trip into town to get supplies on March 30th of 1922, Andreas would remark about how he had lost a key to the house and could not find it, as well as telling neighbor Lorenz Schlittenbauer that he had found a set of footprints in the snow leading from the tree line to the motor shed connected to the barn, where the door to the motor shed was
Okay,
broken open.
that's like direct evidence.
Now, the motor shed
You
was
know that
connected.
somebody's creeping around your house.
Oh, yeah, that's like full solid evidence.
You know, I'm leaning less haunting at this point and more there's a dude in my house.
Yeah, right? Like, there's something going on there, at the very least. Like, now, while there was no way to gain access to the barn or the house from the motor shed, Andreas still decided to grab his shotgun and do a sweep of the house and barn, but he would find no intruder, which,
I'm
fair.
feeling a little bit better about it. Yeah, yeah. No, at least he searched. That's because
Um,
that's what I hadn't heard yet.
Even more disturbingly, though, is that he also told Lorenz that he could not find a set of footprints leading away from the motor shed. So there was just a set that went up to the motor
Hmm.
shed, no way to gain access to anything but the motor shed from there, and then no footprints.
Right. And he checked her shed.
During their trip into town, Victoria would also remark about how the family had been hearing footsteps in the attic for the days prior, but that when Andreas went up to look, bringing a lantern and a shotgun, which this dude was always fucking strapped apparently, he would find no one.
I don't like it. You know what I mean? He's like Omar from The Wire.
It's just some like
Oh, Lord, he
63-year-old
coming.
German dude with a shotgun. Like, I wouldn't fuck with him.
Uh-uh.
He also reportedly found a scrap of a newspaper from Munich on the edge of the woods that surrounded the house. And when he had questioned the mailman on whether anyone in town had a subscription to the newspaper, the mailman would tell him that he was not the one who delivered that paper.
Okay, so somebody is all right. Now, I don't know if you know or whatever, like how far away is Munich from this particular section of the
Uh,
area.
Kaifek, I think it's 40 miles outside, 43 miles roughly from
Okay, so
Munich.
a little ways, but not like, you know,
It's not like across
terribly
Germany
far.
or anything. Like,
Yeah, yeah. Hmm.
now since
And what was the article
Crescent's,
about?
I wish he would have told me because that, like,
Yeah, they didn't say.
that would be great.
Yeah, because I'm curious because they might give you some insight as to what the thinking is here.
It's just a front page ad for a pretzel shop. That's my belief anyway.
That lady can't make pretzels.
Now, since Crescent's had left the farm, the Grubers had been looking for a new maid, and they would eventually hire Maria Baumgartner. On March 31st of 1922, Maria's sister would drop her off on the Hinterkaifeck farm and stay late, saying hi to the family and telling her sister goodbye. She would also be reported to be the last person to see all 6 of the people on the farm alive.
Okay, because I was about to say I've got a pretty bad feeling about this, but it sounds like she's not one of the body count, so that at least makes me a little happy. Somebody
Yeah.
got away.
The next day, on April 1st of
Because I'm always
1922.
the run, Forrest, run guy. I'm
Oh
just going to
yeah,
be
just
screaming over here, run, Nancy. Like,
get the fuck out of there.
yeah, exactly. I'm cheering for you.
The next day, on April 1st of 1922, 7-year-old Cecilia would not show up for school, but she was a child who was often sick, so this didn't really raise much suspicion. 2 men who delivered coffee to the farms in the area would show up for a delivery and knock on the door. When they got no answer, they peeked through the window and would not see anyone inside, so they left. That night, a man traveling on one of the footpaths that was on the edge of the property would report seeing smoke coming from the chimney, as well as smelling an odor he described as smelling of dirty rags. Uh, a man with a lantern would
Interesting.
approach him and hold the lantern up to him, and being a
Yeah, it
bright
smells like somebody's
lantern,
burning clothing.
yeah, but being a bright lantern in the middle of the night, the man would cover his face and look down and continue walking, not getting a look at who approached him.
Just
Uh,
unlike those kids that were running through the woods with the headlamps in your
you're
story.
right. Like,
They're just bouncing all over the place.
that Sunday, the family would not show up for church, which was noted as odd because Victoria was extremely loyal to her church. As far as a couple weeks before this, she had put 700 gold marks in the donation basket.
Oh, wow.
Oh, yeah.
Just in there praying that she meets Paula Dean, you know what I mean? Like,
Now, on April 4th, at roughly 9 a.m., a repairman named Albert Hoffner would show up at the farm to do some repairs on, the motor that was in the motor shed. He knocked on the door and got no
so
answer.
hold on. You said this is unsolved, correct?
Oh, yeah,
So we've got multiple people visiting the house.
and not seeing
Um,
anybody.
yeah. Okay, go ahead. Sorry, I'm just.
So he would knock on the door and get no answer, and he would again peek through the windows and see nobody, see nothing out of the ordinary. He did notice that the family's dog was tied to a stake near the front door. Uh, and that's what the family would do, some sort of protection while they're out. So he would just
Yeah,
assume
I
they
was
were
gonna
out for the
ask.
day.
Right. Yeah, I was gonna ask if that was typical, but
He would wait there for an hour to see if the family would come back. And when no one arrived, he said fuck it and just pried the lock off the motor shed door to begin his repairs. Which, like, good
as
on
you
him.
do,
Like,
right? As you do.
he
You
would.
know what? They're not answering. I'm just going in.
It's like, fuck it, I got paid to come here. Like, I live in a different
You
town.
know
This
what?
is 1922
I got a
Germany.
crowbar in my car.
He would spend the next few
Yeah, that is
hours
true.
on the repairs, and still no one would show up. So he would leave at roughly 2:30 in the afternoon, and he would go to
5
the
stars,
neighbor's
by the way.
property. You're right.
5 stars on Yelp. They didn't answer the door. He broke in, fixed the shit anyway. That's customer service right there.
Oh yeah, getting that job done regardless.
Yeah, try to get Home Depot to come like hook up your washing machine.
I would like to see how well you can get that to happen, because. But
Dude, I did that for a while. We were not very good at it.
Since he couldn't tell the family that he had finished the repairs, he decided to go to a neighbor's house to, ask them that when the family returned to, let them know he had been there and done his repairs. And upon arriving at Lorenz Schlittenbauer's house, he would see two of Lorenz's daughters tending the garden,
Ultra's neighbor.
and he would ask them to let the
I
Grubers
remember
know.
he's been into some Red Shoe Diaries kind of stuff.
Lorenz's daughters would tell him about the repairman coming, so Lorenz would send two of his sons to go tell the Grubers. After his sons returned and told him they saw no one, Lorenz got suspicious that something had happened
So
because it was
nobody, not a trace of any of them.
right. But he would get
That's weird.
suspicious because it wasn't
Like, how does an
normal.
entire family just disappear? You know what I mean? Just vanish.
Right. Like, it wasn't normal for the Grubers to be gone for 4 days without letting anyone know, so Lorenz got suspicious, and he would go get two other neighbors, Jacob Sigel and Michael Pohl, and they would go to the property. Upon arriving at the property, they would gain access to the barn using brute force to open a door that had been blocked by a giant wooden block.
From the inside, I'm assuming.
Oh, yeah.
Did somebody barricaded it?
Now,
Okay.
upon entering the barn, one of the men would feel something by his foot, look down, and see a human hand poking from out the hay.
Oh, so they're all in the barn.
The three men would quickly sweep away the hay to find the body of Victoria, and behind her, the body of Andreas. In another section of the
Okay.
barn, they would find the bodies of
And here
both
we go.
Victoria's mother, Cecilia, as well as her daughter, Cecilia.
Oh,
At this point,
that one hurt.
Lorenz.
Anything kid related hurts me, man.
Yeah,
I don't like to hear that. But
well, it's
as far as
strapping.
Victoria, she should learn how to cook, man.
You're right.
I'm kidding. I'm
God,
kidding.
honestly, part of me thinks this might have had to
That,
do with the food. Like,
that bratwurst was the worst ever, man.
now, at this point, Lorenz would run into the house. The barn was connected to the house. It was a weird, like, villa style type of setup. But he would gain access to the house through the barn, where he would find 2-year-old Joseph dead in his stroller.
Oh, why?
Lorenz then unlocked
It's
the
not
front
like he's
door.
gonna identify you. You know what I'm saying?
Right? Like, if you're going to get rid of witnesses, the
Like
two-year-old in
literally,
the
the child is
stroller,
still in a
like,
stroller. Yeah, exactly. It's not like as soon as you leave, he's gonna call whatever the German equivalent of 911 is.
uh,
I know it starts with 9.
after
I don't think that's
letting
right, but
the
anyway.
other two men in, they would sweep the house, and that's where they would find the body of Maria Baumgartner in her new room with all her bags still unpacked.
All
Lorenz
right,
would
now
then.
did they indicate how these people died? Like,
Oh, we'll get
or are
there.
we getting to that? I guess.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
After
I was
that,
like, you can't just say,
Lorenz.
what, 6 people died and like, don't tell me how.
Oh, trust me, I have a whole thing for the autopsy.
Oh no, you know me. I will not sleep until I find out. So
Lorenz would run outside and tell his sons to run to town and tell the police and the mayor what would happen. Along the way to town, the boys would also tell everybody they passed what had happened.
of course they did.
I mean, yeah, like,
Of course they did. Could you imagine like running into town? Like, why are you running, little boy? Everybody,
everybody died.
you know what I mean? Oh, I'm sorry, everybody died.
But a couple hours
Because he's
later,
running.
when the police had finally arrived, there were many people already at the house inspecting the dead bodies and walking through, unknowingly destroying
Okay, so
evidence.
no like crimes. This sounds like the hot dog squad. There's no police tape yet. No, everybody's just walking around.
Well, no.
And it's not like they had DNA back then, you know?
Well, it was before the police even got there because the boys had told everybody they passed. So before he even got to town to tell the
Yeah,
police, there were people just showing up.
right. Somebody took Andreas's wallet. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah,
now he doesn't have a wallet.
the police would make everybody but Lorenz leave, keeping him there to ask him about how he found the bodies.
See, he's my primary suspect here so far.
upon
I'm not gonna put all my money on him, but he's my primary suspect.
Upon his retelling of events, the police would note that the only two entrances to the house and barn were locked from the inside, meaning the killer would have had to left by going into the attic, climbing through the hayloft, and then climbing down to the first floor from there.
Which sounds like what he had been doing the entire time.
Now, the investigation would headquarter in the house, conducting interviews and interrogations at the dining room table, as well as performing the autopsy in the barn on a makeshift table by where they had found the bodies.
Seems professional. I mean, for 1922, it's pretty professional.
Now, during the investigation, some disturbing things were found. For starters, in the autopsy report, it was found that Andreas had been struck once across the face with a blunt object with so much force that it exposed some of his cheekbone and damaged his carotid
Ooh.
artery, causing him to bleed out.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
Dude, I've
somebody
been
got
hit in the face with an
pissed.
object, and it wasn't even close to that. Like, yeah, that's a heavy blow.
Now, his wife Cecilia was strangled before the same blunt instrument used to kill Andreas was struck across her face several times. Uh, Victoria also struck across the face with it, apparently disfiguring her as to make her unrecognizable, and she also had
Oh,
puncture wounds in her skull.
I was gonna make a joke about she's probably a husky woman, but yeah, now that you said that, that just doesn't seem appropriate.
Now, here's where it gets a little bad. 7-year-old Cecilia was struck
Oh
across the
no.
face several times as well, and also had her throat cut open. More
Yeah,
disturbingly,
that seems additionally gruesome.
uh, more disturbingly, it apparently took hours for her to bleed to death, and during this time, she would be sexually assaulted. And the coroner would
See,
also report that during all of
I
this,
was
she
really
would
hoping you were gonna say that.
rip clumps of her own hair out. 2-year-old
Oh
Joseph
man,
also
hold on, I
killed.
need a minute.
Oh yeah, no, it's a
Yeah, all right, now go ahead.
2-year-old
That's terrible.
Joseph was also killed with the same blunt instrument, with the killer raising it up and bringing it down through the top of his stroller, killing him in one strike.
Oh my god.
Uh,
What did they figure out what it was?
uh, it took them a while. They didn't find out what the murder weapon was until a year after the investigation started.
Man, that sounds like bad police work, but there's so many blunt objects. You know what I
Right,
mean?
like
Yeah, I think it would be hard as a forensic person, particularly back in the 20s, to like be like, oh, you know what I mean? That was a log chain, or that was
now
like we
Maria
can do that now
Baumgartner,
because we've got science behind it. But
right, like 1920s, like
yeah,
people are still coming to
I mean,
terms
I
with
still think
germs at
they
that point.
right. I think they still thought they had devils in their stomachs. You know what I mean? Like,
Now, Maria Baumgartner had also been struck across the face with the same blunt object, but it was apparently reported that she was struck back and forth across the face with it. Now,
it seems very aggressive, like
right,
a crime of anger. And the fact that the little girl's throat was cut and she was assaulted seems like that's the main reason for this.
it would be the best bet. Like,
You know what I mean? That seems excessive compared to as gruesome as the other ones are. That one seems more excessive.
well, it's also
Like
interesting to
it seems
note
like that
that
to me. That was the play he was trying to make, and unfortunately, he had to kill the entire family to do that. Is kind of what I'm hearing.
like everybody was killed with the blunt instrument except she had her throat cut, and Victoria also had puncture wounds in her skull. So,
Puncture, so blunt and puncture.
but everybody else, it was just whatever blunt object. Now, after
Hmm.
the autopsy was performed, they would saw
And
the
but
heads.
so the excessive violence was against the women, right?
Well, except Cecilia and Maria, either they had just the same like blunt force. Oh well, I guess
Okay,
yeah,
gotcha.
because all the women were struck multiple times when Andreas just had that one hit.
But maybe it was one of those things where it was like a surprise, and he just popped him, and the guy fell down, and that was done. You know what I mean?
Right. Now, after the autopsy was performed, they would saw the heads off of the bodies and send them to a clairvoyant, which was apparently a common practice at this time for murder
Oh,
cases with no
I'm
known
sorry. Could
murder
you
weapon.
repeat what Jesus said to me?
Yeah.
Could you please repeat that?
So they sawed the heads off of the bodies and sent them to a clairvoyant,
Okay, a clairvoyant.
which was
I mean, I
apparently,
guess if you're clairvoyant, then
yeah,
like
right. Might as well fucking get whatever you can.
you does like having a brain close to you make a clairvoyant better? Is what I'm wondering. Like,
Well, apparently it was a common
and why do you need like
practice
6 of them?
for
Why are
murder
you gonna send all of the
cases
heads?
that had no known murder weapon at this time period. They would just cut off the heads and send them to a clairvoyant.
Well, they were just starting to get into the whole like Nazi occult era in Germany, so that was starting to those whole ideas were starting to grow or whatever.
Now, the heads, as well as other evidence and files related to this case, would later be destroyed or lost during Allied bombings of Germany during the Second World War. So,
Yeah, America obstructing justice once again.
the police would state that the most likely way that the murders took place is that the killer lured the victims into the barn one by one, killing them and then dragging them away before luring in the next person. Except for Joseph, because he's
Again,
fucking
Ronald
two in
Gene
a
Simmons,
stroller.
same thing.
But 2 days after the investigation had started, they've been on the farm for this whole fucking 2 day span, by the way. They would discover a rope hanging down from the hayloft to the ground floor, which is assumed to be how the killer left the property.
Well, it took them 2 days to find the repelling rope
To find a fucking rope hanging off of the hayloft, I feel like you find that pretty
because
quick.
they were busy sawing their heads off to send them to a clairvoyant.
Right. But in
Hmm.
the
All
hayloft,
right.
the police would also find matted down patches of hay as if someone had been sleeping there, as well as food scraps and
Sleeping
human
in the loft.
feces.
That guy's walking around your house.
They also found evidence suggesting whoever had been in the hayloft had moved tiles on the floor around so they could watch the level below them. Which the hayloft is
Okay,
connected to the attic,
that's
so I'm going to be
creepy. Yeah.
using hayloft and attic interchangeably a lot. But
Okay, so he can kind of freely move in between those two.
yeah, there's
I
like
say he. We don't know
fully
that it wasn't a
connected.
she,
I,
but
I,
I'm
I
I'm
feel
pretty
we can be
convinced
pretty
if you
confident
hit a
this
man
is a
with a
dude.
blunt object in the face hard enough to do that, yeah, you're probably a man.
It was also
Or
noted
like
that there
Ronda
were
Rousey, you know what I mean?
no pools of blood anywhere except for where the bodies had been found, suggesting the killer had made some sort of attempt to clean up at least.
Okay, that's interesting that he
Uh,
would take the time to do that.
they would also come to the conclusion that whoever had committed the
Which
murders.
isn't that weird? Isn't that weird to you that somebody can be like that? I'm not going to say impulsive because I don't know that it was a crime of impulse, but that violent and that just brutal, but then take the time to clean it up just to drag the body over and make a pile. You know what I mean?
Right, like,
You would think that that person would be chaotic enough in their thinking that they would just leave it and wait for the next one, right?
you think they'd just get the
And so
fuck out of
that's
there.
that's just
Like,
interesting to me that how the brain works.
now, the police also came to the conclusion that whoever had committed the murders had stayed at the house with the bodies for a few days, citing evidence such as large amounts of food from the larder being gone, the matted down hay and food scraps found in the hayloft, as well as the witness who said he saw smoke coming from the chimney the day
Dude,
after
he's
the
tired,
murders.
man. He needs to eat.
It is important to note, however, that the food missing from the larder is mostly because Lorenz had been handing food out to everyone who had come to the house the first day, as well as giving the police food from the larder, so.
That's what I'm saying. Somebody took Andreas' spotlight. You can't. That's not a reliable crime scene when the whole town's walking around in it.
Right. But,
Because there's going to be somebody that's like, always wanted that teacup.
right, it's like, man, I've been looking. They can't use that schnitzel anymore. I might as well take it. Like,
Yeah, but then I'm there and I'm like, don't eat the fucking stencil, man.
right.
Just don't do it. It's terrible. All right, that's
But,
the last food joke I'm going to make.
a
The poor woman's
blizzard.
passed away. We can let that that go with her.
A strong blizzard had hit the night of the murders, also making it even more likely that a murderer had stayed at the house for at least a day afterwards.
Yeah.
Um, now,
Yeah, because you're not going to tree lurk if you can go into the loft in a blizzard. You know what I mean?
right, you're gonna get lost, you're gonna freeze to death. It's March in
Yeah.
fucking Germany, like. But the
In 1922, I
investigators.
can't think of a place I would.
Oh yeah, no, like you don't have a fucking
Yeah.
North Face jacket to
I
put
mean, there are
on.
worse
Like,
places in history, but that's not a great one.
the investigators wanted to know whether or not a scream could be heard from the barn in the living room, and to test this, one of them would go to the barn and yell while the others stayed in the living room. Now, that coupled with the people just kind of walking through and destroying evidence made me think of John Benet Ramsey. Like,
Hmm.
it's just like,
Absolutely.
I'm
Again,
starting to
this
think.
reminds me so much of Ronald Gene Simmons. Like immediately, I'm like, it's a member of the family or whatever. But I think they all died, didn't they? So that leads me to believe it's probably the neighbor.
Right.
I mean, he
Now,
seems the obvious suspect here. But since it's not solved, I'm betting you got more information for me.
during interviews, most people had nothing good to say about the family. Like, most people just had stories about them being generally dickheads, but the people closer to them had some darker stories. Reportedly, Victoria was not the only child the Grubers had. It is confirmed that the Grubers had at least one other daughter named Sophie, but according to some of the people interviewed, they had had more. For punishments, what they would do is if one of the children misbehaved, they would be locked in a cellar with no food for days on end.
What?
Oh yeah,
I feel like that's excessive, even for the Germans.
this would reportedly lead to the other children dying of malnutrition and disease. Uh, but the
Wow.
claims
Yeah,
come
this whole story is
from
sad so far.
Carl Gabriel. Before he had went off to war, he had told his family about this. And during the investigation, his family were like, "Ah, this is probably something you should know." Like,
Yeah, by the way,
uh,
they've been keeping children in their basement.
yeah, right. But along with that, there were also the stories of incest, with Lorenz telling the police that Victoria had told him the sexual contact had started when she was 16, but that her father had attempted the acts much earlier. Now, the
Wow.
Grubers were
That's just
also
that's just
somewhat
gross,
wealthy,
bro.
but they were outwardly very stingy, leading many people in the town to believe that there was a large sum of money hidden on the farm.
Well, except for at church, because Victoria donated heavily, remember?
Right? But police began to believe that money was the motive for the murders because of this, but investigating this would prove
Was
to be a dead end.
Did they ever find money?
Well,
Like,
it
was it
is
confirmed that it
true.
wasn't about the money because they found the money, or did they
Oh,
not find any money and just were like, I think that's a whole, you know,
it is
like BS
true
story or whatever?
that at least $100,000, or not 100,000 marks were missing from Victoria's personal collection. But there were other
I
valuables
wonder how much
left.
that is.
At the time, the exchange rate was roughly 160 to 320 marks per US dollar.
So about half. So it'd be
Uh,
about $50,000, or
I think
am I doing
less
the
than
math
that.
backwards?
I think less than that even.
Okay,
But there were other valuables left untouched in the house,
sorry, I don't math.
including gold, silver coins, and jewelry. Which I feel like the economy's in the shitter. You go for the gold, like.
Well, yeah, I mean they're just coming out of World War I, so the economy is in the shitter right now for Germany,
Right.
and it improves, and then they do the same thing again, and then it goes right back to where they were, except worse the second time.
But all of that, plus the insane amount of aggression in the murders, made police start to believe that money probably wasn't the motive, so they shifted their focus.
Well, I'm thinking maybe a soldier too. You know what I mean? Somebody that had been in World War I, because I don't feel like you just. I mean, I guess we don't know what the assailant looked like after this whole thing was done. You know what I
Right.
mean? It may have been a knockdown, drag out fight. It doesn't sound like it, And it sounds like he just popped that dude in the head the first time and then just moved on. So it sounds like somebody that knows how to fight. You know what I mean?
Right. Now, their next idea was that it was a serial killer, but issues would also arise with this theory. Police would find that the calendar had been flipped from March 31st to April 1st, which it has been confirmed as much as possible for the time period that the murders did happen on the 31st. Uh, so, what serial killer do you know is going to flip that date?
Well, you know what? Honestly, maybe he's just like, you know what? I just killed 6 people. Tomorrow's a new day. April Fools.
That mail that had been delivered on the 1st had been moved to a spot in the window where Andreas would usually put the mail by the time the bodies were discovered. Now,
Okay, so
this.
somebody's moving stuff around after the fact. Is what you're saying?
Oh, yeah, there were also reports, I couldn't get
But I
too
mean, it
much
could be anybody in
confirmation.
town because those loudmouth kids were running down the street like the little rascals yelling at everybody.
Yeah, right. Now, there were also reports I couldn't not sure how true they were or whatever, but there were reports that between the 31st and the 1st, the dog had been staked out further out in the yard, and then by the 4th, when the repairman came, he had been staked up closer to the front porch. So it seems that the dog, who was trained to protect the house from people, had been moved and hadn't attacked whoever did it. So it seems likely it was someone the dog knew.
Okay, that's what I was going to ask. Because like if you're just a stranger and you walk up to a tethered dog and you try to move it, he's probably not going to, especially one that's trained for home defense.
Right.
That's going to be a difficult task. Okay, I think it's the neighbor. Again, I'm not saying it's the neighbor. I'm not putting all my money on that, but I'm leaning toward him right now.
Right. Now,
I
at
mean, he
this
already
point,
had an affair or whatever. Like I don't guess had an affair. I don't know if he was married or not. I don't know what the situation was, but
right, like
there's some scandal going on there already.
at this point, the case was basically 1922 Germany's version of the O.J. Simpson trial in terms of popularity. Like, people from all over the country had traveled by train to come see
News
the
on it
site of the
every six
murders.
weeks.
This in turn led to a lot of bad leads being given to the police. Like, at
You know what
one
I mean?
point,
In 1922 Germany, like you get your news every 6 weeks when the gypsy clairvoyant lady shows up with some heads, and they're like, "Oh man, that happened."
like, oh shit, 6 people dead at a farmhouse. Oh, Bavaria? Oh, that makes sense.
Oh, wait, was it Victoria?
Now,
I'm
at
kidding.
one
I don't know why
point,
I'm hating on Victoria.
the police had said that they thought it might be a vagrant that had committed the murders, which in turn led to essentially every homeless person in the area being blamed by someone at some point. Like, people would make up stories about them claiming all sorts of wild shit, like they were walking through town one day and a homeless person ran by
He's
and
a
was like,
werewolf.
ah, I did it, and then ran away. and, I think my favorite
He
example.
fully confessed to it. I mean, I bought him a bottle of Ripple, but he fully confessed to it.
I got him shit faced in the pub, but
Yeah,
he did
exactly.
say he did
On
it.
some
So.
snobs.
My favorite example of this was in the 1940s when a woman went to a priest and like wrote on a piece of paper and gave it to him that her brothers had committed the murders, and she would stand by this until her deathbed. However,
So plural. So she's saying that brother is plural. Interesting.
however, when police went to interview the brothers, named Anton and Adolf Gump, they would
Whoa. Hold on. Did you just say Adolf Gump?
oh yeah, Adolf Gump, which is
That's
possibly
uh,
the most unfortunate
the
name
worst
in all
name
of history.
in human history. Yeah.
That's,
I mean, he's got two of the biggest dumbasses on the planet just put together.
when they went to interview the brothers, though, they would discover that one
He
had already
screams when
been
he
dead.
runs. My struggle. You know what I mean? Like, I can't even right now.
When they went to interview the brothers, they would discover that one was already dead and that the other had no connections to the family and had never even been to the area.
Please tell me it's Adolf that's dead.
God, I hope it was Anton, honestly. I feel like
You know,
Adolf Gump needs to write a book. I don't
so
know if he's still
he
alive
does
or
not
not,
need to
but
reproduce, dude. He does not need to reproduce.
but about a year after the murders, after no conviction had been made in the case, family members of the Grubers would tear down the farm because why the fuck is anybody going to
The
move in
Coopers.
there? But
Yeah, no, you know.
during the
What is it? A
teardown,
sextuple homicide? Yeah, I'm not
yeah,
living in that
like
house.
fuck that. Like I'll live where somebody
If it
died, but
if
six
it wasn't
people?
haunted before, it is now. Yeah, it's definitely haunted.
But
Especially since the clairvoyants got their heads. You know what I mean? Like
uh, talking to
none of those
ghosts
people are
and
arrested.
shit, like.
Yeah, like I ain't going in that barn.
But during the teardown, they would discover a modified mattock handle that was covered in human hair and blood in the hayloft, as well as a pocket knife.
Oh, did you say a matic?
A modified mattock
Like
handle.
you're talking about like the farming tool, yeah?
Oh yeah. So
Like the one
apparently,
that's got the diggy thing on one side and the pokey thing on the other one.
yep. Now apparently, it was
Holy,
a modified
ooh.
mattock handle that Andreas had used in World War One for trench fighting.
So do you think he did it and then was the one that died?
Oh boy, do I have some stories to tell you. But they also
Okay,
found
all
a
right. We're
pocket
getting there. We're
knife
getting there.
covered in blood in the
That
hayloft,
seems insignificant. Well, no, that would be the one that probably cut the little girl's throat. Yeah, so I'm
which
sure that's a murder weapon.
many reports also say that the pocket knife looked very similar to one Andreas owned as well. Now,
So all signs are pointing to him.
there are a lot of theories surrounding this case, and like to the
Well, it
point
sounds like
where
everybody's guilty. Is this one of those murder on the Orient Express stories where everybody did it?
yeah, it's murder on the Schnitzel Express. It's just
Right with the fucking matic? Like,
yeah,
you know how scary that would be if somebody came at you with the matic and was like trying to
right.
kill you?
Especially one that had
I
been
mean,
modified specifically for trench fighting. Like that's fucking
for
terrifying.
war, yeah. Yeah, that's gonna hurt either end that he hits. Even if he hits you at the flat part, it's gonna hurt.
Like that shit's gonna
So
sting at
he's
least a
got
little.
piercing, he's got bludgeoning, and he could probably create some slashing damage with that too.
Oh, I would not doubt it. But with all the theories surrounding the case, like to the point where it even spawned its own breed of werewolf and witch urban legends about the
I
murders.
told you that homeless dude was a werewolf.
uh, all that being said, I'm going to run through the three most prevalent theories. Uh,
Okay.
the first one, and also the least likely one, is that Carl Gabriel, Victoria's dead husband, was the murderer.
What?
Oh,
What? Like he crawled out of his World War One grave and came over? But I mean,
well,
he was in the trenches in World War One.
yeah, the theory gained traction because Carl's body was never recovered from the battlefield, and that plus the fact that during World War One, soldiers were sometimes mistakenly labeled as dead due to all the chaos
Why is
because of
this not a
things like
movie
mustard
already?
gas and shit. I think it is. I
You know what
have
I
to
mean? Why is
remember
this
what
not
it's
a movie?
called, but
No, I don't mean like about the farm. I mean about Carl crawling up out of his World War One grave and deciding to go take revenge on his entire family.
isn't that just Jeepers Creepers? Like,
Pretty much, I guess. I don't see how
but
that guy got a license plate. That's all I'm gonna say.
yeah, right. How the fuck
Like,
he get
what did
that
he show up to
big ass truck
DMV?
registered? Like,
Yeah, there's no way, dude. I have a hard time getting mine registered, and I'm a resident of the state. You know what I mean? And also human.
but the theory basically goes that after finally managing to make his way back home, Carl found out that Victoria had had an illegitimate child with either Lorenz or her own father, and in a fit of rage killed
So,
everyone.
I'm gonna go with Lorenz. I just feel better about that one. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
like
Like that he's the lecherous neighbor and not the incestuous father. I'd rather go with that narrative in my head.
now this theory doesn't hold much weight for a few reasons. One, Carl had already been talking about divorce before he went off to war, so it seems pretty unlikely he would get this pissed about something like an illegitimate child.
Yeah,
Uh,
makes sense, and especially once he's like ready to leave anyway, and then goes sees the horrors of World War One. I
yeah,
can't be
he's
concerned
just
by her.
like, I feel like you don't care about your wife cheating after you've been in the trenches of World War One.
Yeah,
You're just
yeah,
like, yeah, I know.
exactly. Yeah.
But
Like you've already
two,
been fucked by the devil so many
yeah, it's
times.
like
It just doesn't, like, you've technically committed adultery. You know what I mean?
she's sitting there telling you that she cheated on you, and you're just witnessing bombs fall out of the air, zoning the fuck out the whole time.
Yeah.
Like,
Oh, oh, it was terrible, man. Maybe we'll get to that topic one of these days, but whoo, yeah, it was rough.
uh, two, there were no records of him showing up anywhere near town or anywhere else for that matter afterwards. Like, just no
It sounds
record.
like he's dead.
Well, three, this was a popular theory in town at the time, so the police had reached out to the
Hmm.
German military, and the German military told them that Carl was in fact super fucking dead. Like, it was
Right.
just
But it sounds like a headless horseman kind of story. You know what I mean?
right.
Where, like, on a moonlit night, you can see Carl in his World War I uniform,
But all of this didn't
trench
stop
mattock in
people
hand. You know what I mean? Like, what the
from.
hell?
But all of this didn't stop people in town from believing in the theory. In fact, it made a resurgence during World War II when a German soldier told a tale of him being captured by the Russians, where he had met a Russian commander that spoke fluent German and sounded like he was from the region. And after discovering they were both from the region, the Russian commander apparently told him that he was in fact Karl Gabriel. Uh, the Russian had apparently told him
Uh,
about how he was so vicious and fierce that the Russians loved him so much that they made him a commander.
so he's like the White Death in a Bullet Train.
Yeah,
Yeah, I'm
like
not
just.
buying that.
Oh, he
I'm
then
not buying that.
claims that
I mean,
Carl
Bullet
let
Train was a great
him.
movie, but I don't buy that in real life.
Oh no, not at all. He then went
Yeah,
on to
that's like Matt
claim
Damon being a samurai or whatever.
that Carl had let him and two other men go so that he could tell the story so no innocent man was charged for the crime. Which, like, if you're that vicious that you're getting adopted by the Russians, you're not letting them go. Like,
Well, if you're that vicious and you've achieved that level of power, why the hell are you going to go all the way back to Germany and kill your family with a farm tool?
yeah, right? Like, it
You're
just
going to send
seems.
somebody else to do it. You know what I mean? If you've achieved that level of power,
Right.
just
Like,
send somebody else.
fucking drop a bomb. Like,
Yeah.
now, to me, that story sounds like total bullshit. But at that point, people
Yeah.
were
Yeah. I'm not
willing
buying
to
that one.
believe it
I'm
to
still leaning
some
toward the
extent.
neighbor, man.
Well, the second theory is that Lorenz Schlittenbauer is the one who committed the murders.
That's my money right there. Let's see what you got to say.
Now, a little bit of context that I left out earlier was it was reported by Lorenz that by the second time that he and Victoria spoke, she had offered to sleep with him. He had declined at the time as he was married, but when his wife died of cancer in 1918, they had started having relations.
He is full of shit.
Now, at some point, they started talking about marriage, which is when Victoria told Lorenz that she was pregnant. Lorenz says something along the lines of, "Yeah, I might be the
I'm
baby
pregnant either
daddy."
with yours or your daddy's, my daddy's baby. Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
he says something along the
Like,
lines
how'd that
of,
conversation go? How did Lorenz take that? I wonder. He's like, oh,
well, he's
okay.
he said something along the
And so I guess that
lines
did
of,
that end their relationship,
"I might be the baby
or did
daddy,
it?
but it might as well be your dad's." And then says he will not claim the child and reports Andreas for incest. So he didn't
Yeah.
take it too well.
Mm. I don't imagine you take that conversation very well.
Yeah, right. But
Like, I love you, but I'm sleeping with my grandpa.
now, after her father was jailed, she began to beg Lorenz to publicly claim paternity, as it would be better for both her and the baby in the public eye. Because you
Well,
don't want to be
especially in
the.
1922 Germany. Yeah, you don't
Yeah,
want to
it's
be that
like,
woman.
oh, you're your grandfather's son. It's like, oh, fuck. Okay, well.
I'm my own grandpa.
He eventually agrees to claim paternity over Joseph in a court, and this starts a fight between Lorenz and the Grubers over child support.
Oh, God. See, yeah, he's got motive. All right.
Now, the argument would go back and forth for quite a while before Victoria just finally drops it, just gives up, because Lorenz was steadfast in not paying child support for that baby.
A tale as old as time.
Now, soon after this, Lorenz floats the idea of marrying Victoria, which is well received by
Hold
the
on.
family.
I'm going to get a pack of cigarettes. I'll be right back.
Now, soon after this, Lorenz floats the idea of marrying Victoria, which is well received by the family at the time. Until one day
Of
Andreas
course, if he
changes
marries
his
her, they don't have to
mind.
pay child support. Right, because he wants child support.
Now, it is important to note that Lorenz claims that he said he would marry Victoria if her father stopped having sexual contact with her, to which
I
Andreas
feel that's
basically
fair.
responded with, I don't know, man, I guess we'll see. So,
Oh, wow.
yeah,
Uh,
that's.
yeah, I'm ducking out of that one, man. I'm like
Uh,
Homer Simpson backing up into the bushes. You know what I mean? I'm
just
like,
get the fuck
I
away on
really
that
regret
one.
sleeping with her.
But
Let's
on
let's chalk that
March.
up to be a lesson.
Yeah, right, just. Oh, there's
It's like
sticking you
Tinder
dick and
sucks.
crazy, and then there's whatever the fuck that is. Like, two completely different levels of just batshit insanity.
Yeah, that hasn't happened to me on Tinder yet, but I'm not ruling it out just yet.
Now, on March 26th, about 5 days before the murders, one of Lorenz's daughters would die of whooping cough, which some believe was a sort of tipping point that made him finally confront the Grubers and eventually led to their murder. And
Yeah.
Lorenz did not help
Well, it
his
sounds like he's
case.
got some hostility with them. He's got motive. He's got access. He seems like the prime suspect here.
Now, Lorenz did not help his case much during the investigation either, because he
See, you're
acted
just building a case.
suspicious as fuck. He basically encouraged the initial flood of death tourists by handing out the food, which led to destruction of evidence,
Yeah,
as well as all the
right, right.
fingerprints, which surprisingly they had in the 20s in Germany.
Really, that's interesting. I wasn't sure when fingerprinting became a police tactic or whatever. Like what year that happened.
Right.
Interesting.
Now,
I mean,
he.
there's Germans. They're used to. Never mind. Love you. I love you, Germany.
He also told the detectives how how they should consider people during the investigation. Like basically, like, oh, this guy's a dickhead. You should look into him.
Okay, he's Ed Kemper in that. Yeah. All right. It's him. It's got to be him.
He was also very intimate with the details of the case, to the point that when new
And
information was
intimate with the
found,
neighbors.
he demanded to know what the new information was. And at
Yeah.
one point, he even claimed that there was a half finished grave dug in the corner of the barn, but that the ground was too hard, so the killer must have given up and just covered the bodies in hay.
He's like, I tried to dig a hole over there, but man, the ground it's frozen. We had a blizzard, and I just left him.
And then
Oh, I'm sorry. No, the killer just left him. The killer.
a few years after the investigation, he was in a pub, and the topic of the footprints in the snow would come up, to which Lorenz said, and I quote, I simply walk backwards through my own footprints in the snow. And then immediately clarified that he was talking as if he were the killer, but that he was totally super innocent.
That's what I just said. Yeah. No, the killer. I mean, I totally. But like I said, well, no, wait, no, the killer. The killer did it.
like
Like
it,
this is like if Ronald Gene Simmons and Ed Kemper had a baby, it'd be this person.
like at one point, even one of the two men that he had brought to the farm with him when they found the body said he thought Lorenz did it.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to agree with this. Can you imagine screaming happened at this point though?
You're
Between that
right.
whole child support battle and just like neighbors being shitty with each other.
And it's all
But
in
that's all
German,
in
so it sounds
German.
even more
Yeah,
aggressive.
yeah.
Like,
It sounds much more. Yeah, I can't. Yeah.
uh, not to mention that when Lorenz had to unlock the front door to let the other two men in, he had to use a key to do so. And this is believed to be the key that Andreas had said went missing just the day before
Lost.
the
Yeah.
murders.
Right. Right. Mm. Okay,
However,
but I don't think if he did it, the key was all that significant because they had been haunted or whatever before, right? So they've heard
right.
footsteps before the day before they got murdered. So he already knew how to get in the house.
Now,
The key, I think, is just a
when he was questioned about the key, Lorenz stated that it was already in the lock when he got there. So,
convenient. Yep.
yeah.
As people do.
Now, while
That way, I know where it's at.
this is a more
You can't
solid
even like
theory.
hide it under a fake rock like everybody else does.
Yeah, right. Like fucking. But this is a more solid theory than the Carl Gabriel one for a multitude of reasons, but there are still issues with it. Like, for one, the police had cleared Lorenz as a suspect as he had terrible asthma due to exposure exposure to mustard gas during the First World War, to the point where he could take like
Hold
5
on,
steps
World
and be
War.
winded.
No, but he was in World War One. which means
So,
he's familiar with trench fighting, probably.
right. His family also reported that the case
Which is
destroyed
probably
him.
why he did it one at a time instead of all six at a time. He's like, I'm going to run out of air if I try to do that. Let's just do it one at a time. You know, that way I can take a break in between.
Catch my breath. Like, fucking mustard gas fucked me up. But
Yeah, and this is pre like inhalers, so he's just like making that noise.
his family had also reported that the case destroyed him in the years after, in part due to mourning over Victoria, but also just the hit his reputation took. Because, like you, most people were just like, that dude had to have done it.
I mean, I'm not saying it's overwhelming, but the scales are definitely tipping not in his favor.
Like, other businesses wouldn't do business with him, people in town would refuse to serve him, and he was essentially ostracized.
Yeah,
Uh,
I mean that's what happened when he killed six people.
he also publicly claimed fathership of Joseph, even though it negatively affected his reputation, so it seems somewhat unlikely that he would kill that 2-year-old that he was,
Yeah,
at least on paper, the father of.
but I mean, come on, man. You got
And
to think that he
he
has a
had
suspicion that that's her father's baby,
he had also
and so either
married.
he thinks that that's his, and he kind of loves it, or he thinks that it's her father's and it's an abomination. So
Right.
you know what I
Well,
mean? I feel like that could go either way,
he had also ended up marrying another woman at some point during all of this.
dude.
So,
Rents
like,
fucks.
Lorenz is getting around.
Yeah, yeah.
Seems
He
like
got
his
hosed in
track
different area
record.
codes.
One wife died of cancer. One person he was sleeping with was also banging their
He's like
father. So
he's
who
like the
knows
little
what's up with
John
the
of the
third
20s
one? Like,
Germany.
now,
I got eight, baby. Child sport's my main game.
the third theory is Andreas. Now, we already know that he's fucking evil, like, obviously, but there are more
Okay,
compelling
but is he
reasons.
still alive?
Oh no, he's dead as shit. But
Okay. But we still don't know which one, or it was either him or Adolf Gump that died. Because still, that name cracks me up, dude.
no, Andreas was
Like
the
if I could go
father.
back in time, I would take a picture of him with one of those little stickers that says "Hello, my name is Adolf Gump,"
You're right.
and I would come back, put it on the internet, and I'd make $1,000,000.
But no, Andreas was Victoria's father. He wasn't one of the Gump brothers. He was now.
Oh no, you're right, you're right. I was thinking, I'm sorry, of the.
Now
So
Victoria
you think
had.
he did it, but didn't
Oh
he die?
well, we'll get to that. Don't worry. Don't.
Or did he just kill his whole family and then just bash himself in the face once? I don't buy that.
Now, Victoria had wanted to marry Lorenz, which he heavily disapproved of, with Lorenz even saying that at one point Victoria had told him that her father would kill her if her child was not his, as he didn't want any other man to have her. Which I'm gonna let that one sit for a second, because holy shit.
No, this it's okay. Yeah, you already know that she's sleeping with the neighbor.
Uh, it is
It just
also
seems like
reported
it
that
seems like a weird form of logic to me. Anyway,
it is also reported that the weeks prior, Victoria had been withdrawing all the money from her savings and bank accounts and then closing them as if she were going to leave.
yeah,
Years later, a
I don't
classmate
blame her.
of her daughter's would report that on the 30th, the day before the murders, Cecilia had come to school very tired. And when she was asked about it, she had said that Andreas had slapped Victoria across the face, which led her to crying and running off into the woods. The family would go out and spend the
What?
rest of the night looking for her, only finding her in the early morning hours. And
Dude, she should have stayed out there.
it's possible that Andreas had found out about her plans to leave, which is what caused him to slap Victoria that night.
Right. Man, that's messed up. Okay,
As
so
we
that's
know,
another.
Andreas had a history of being incestuous with his own daughter, which would
Yeah.
kind of tie to why Cecilia had been sexually assaulted during the murders, too. Now, the theory that I
Icky.
believe most, which I'm not gonna lie, I stole this from one of the videos I was watching about this, um, goes as follow. Andreas discovers Victoria's plans to run away with Lorenz and in a fit of rage murders everyone in the family. After a day or so of not seeing the family, Lorenz goes over to check on them, where he finds Andreas with the bodies, and being distraught over the death of his love interest as well as his alleged child, he hits Andreas with the mattock, causing him to bleed out. He then freaks the
I don't
fuck
buy
out
that.
and realizes how the situation looks, so he hides the mattock and moves Andreas' body into the hay with the rest of the family, which would also explain why everyone except Andreas was murdered in such a violent way.
I mean, that part is true, but unless this is a Quentin Tarantino movie, that's not happening.
Now, it's also important to note that
What do you think the chances are of him coming over there, finding Andreas had killed everybody, killing him with the same weapon he killed all those people with? I don't buy it.
now
I don't
I
think that.
I will
I
say
think
that
that's
as far as the Andreas theory goes, I don't know why I forgot to put this in the script, but the way that one
Mhm.
ends with him dead is there were some reports about how the wounds to him might have been caused by him falling from the hayloft onto the mattock, which is, if that is what happened, the
oh,
funniest shit ever.
that's like the final scene in the horror movie. You know what I mean?
Like, just a dude that fucking evil accidentally kills himself after
You know
murdering
what I'm
his whole
saying? That's the one
family.
where you're sitting
Like,
there eating popcorn in the movie theater and you've already seen it and you just like cover your girlfriend's eyes. You know what
yeah,
I mean?
just
Like you don't
like,
want to see this part.
look away real quick. Now, in 2007, more tests were done and the case was reviewed using new techniques. And while the crime lab
Okay, that's kind of
stated
awesome actually.
that due to lack of
Because I mean,
evidence,
almost 100 years later.
oh
Not, I
yeah,
mean,
like
it's not 100, but like
it's
it's
like
again, I don't math,
80,
but whatever.
90 ish. It's close to
Yeah,
100. Like, the
I was
crime
googling it,
lab stated that due to lack of evidence, nothing solid would ever come out of this case. But the
but I mean, how do you
researchers,
get evidence 89 years old?
you're right, but the researchers had all independently come to the same conclusion on who they thought the murderer was. But due to privacy laws in
And
Germany, they weren't allowed to tell the public who it is, as their agreed upon suspect still has living descendants, which does point to Lorenz.
Lorenz,
Yeah.
it's
Now,
Lorenz.
this is a case
I'm not gonna
marred.
say that publicly, but I will say that privately on a podcast. I think it was him.
Now, this is a case marred with mystery, 1920s police incompetence, and a lack of recording due to the destruction of evidence caused by Allied bombings,
Yeah,
which is probably why, to this day, it is somewhat of an urban legend in Bavaria and a case that still garners immense amounts of interest from the public.
well, it's interesting because I've heard of this case. I still don't know how to spell it. I didn't even know how to say it until you said it. But I've like I'm not familiar with that one, but I kind of like read the cliff notes or whatever, and it's just interesting. Again, I didn't know they had fingerprinting in 1922 in Germany. That's kind of cool.
Or that they sent heads to
The Matic,
clairvoyants.
that seems very brutal. Yeah, they did that. Lots of World War I in this one. I mean, it's been a ride, dude.
I will say, however,
And I'm just
Andrea,
saying,
like,
like, it.
whether Andreas fell on the mattock or Lorenz hit him or whatever, that motherfucker got hit so hard with the mattock that it broke his carotid artery and he bled to death. Like,
I mean, that does sound like a Lorenzo crime or a Lorenz crime. You know what I mean?
it's just fucking
Because I
in.
figure he would have a lot of anger against that man.
Now, I could not encompass the full
But
scope
I just
of
don't buy the
this.
theory that Andreas or he killed his whole family and then Lorenz came over and did it. I just don't buy that.
Or like
It,
he
it
was
seems too.
super abusive, like physically and also sexually. Like, there's a lot of
Well, I
things
mean,
that
I
would
understand
point to
that
him
Lorenz
just
would be mad
snapping.
at him, but I think Lorenz just did the whole thing.
See, it's one of those ones where I think the reason I like that last theory the most is just because it's as happy of an ending as you can get. Like,
True, yeah, yeah. There's vindication there. There's some sort of
but if we're
like
being realistic,
retribution for horrible acts. I like that.
Lorenz probably did it, or Andreas did it and then
Hmm.
fell off the hayloft onto
I
his
still
own
think that
mattock.
the what was it, Carl? Don't forget about Carl crawling out of his World War I grave. It could
You
have
know
been
what?
him.
It could have been Carl. Ghosts
What
do
if they
some
all did
fucky
it
shit in
together?
Germany.
Like I said, Murder on the Orient Express style.
They tag team WWE matched it. Like,
Yeah, just like the lecherous neighbor, a guy that is in a World War I uniform covered in dirt.
well, the thing that's funny
You know,
about
and
it
then
is
I found it interesting that so
Andreas.
many people visited the house before it was discovered because it was days, yeah.
Oh yeah, it was the murders took
And
place on the 31st, and the bodies weren't found
the
until April
craziest part
4th.
of the story to me is the guy that came to fix shit in their house, broke into the house, fixed it, and left, and then went and told the neighbor that he did it.
You're right.
That I need his business card.
Yeah.
Sometimes I'm out of town, you know what I mean?
Albert Hoffner, if you're still alive and listening to this podcast for some reason, I got a door that needs to be fixed. If I'm not home, you know what to do.
You know what to do. Just take care of it. That's like some Brooklyn shit. I love it. But man, that's a pretty brutal way to die, I'll say. Like I like the mystery around it.
I will say, I also could
And
not get, like, I could not fully encompass this if I fucking tried. There was so much just random shit that was going on in this area, just
oh, I
between
bet.
the
Well, again, you're
groupers
talking
and
about an
Lorenz.
you're talking about an almost 90-year-old unsolved crime. There's going to be so many theories.
And
There are
then,
probably
like,
theories from the 70s that people are just now regurgitating on the internet. You know what I mean?
the police in the 20s didn't know shit about fuck, so the reporting is terrible. There's holes in it.
Yeah.
Then there were records lost due to the bombings. Like, this whole thing is
And
just,
it's interesting because then you look at modern police and you realize they're actually not much better. Sorry,
which is a sad state to
I ain't
be
trying to
in.
hate on my law enforcement listeners, all one of you.
Yeah. All of you guys who probably should not be listening to this before going to a DV dispute should, definitely.
The important lesson here is child support.
Oh, yeah. Just pay the fucking child support.
It's very
That's.
important. It could cause conflicts and rifts between two families. That's all I'm saying.
Maybe don't claim fathership of a child you think might be a product of incest either. I think that's a pretty good
Well, yeah, that's
lesson
kind of
we've
what I'm
learned.
taking away from it. I feel like this was a child support murder in Germany in the 20s. And
Uh,
when you look at it that way, it's
Poor fucking Maria, by the
just kind
way.
of messed up.
Because Maria was like disabled. She had been fired from her previous job due to it. She finally had a fresh fucking
And was that
start.
the lady that showed up for one day and then the one
Yeah.
that escaped that I was cheering for?
No,
Yes, you go, Maria.
Maria was the maid who died on her first day on the fucking job. Like she was
Oh, yes.
disabled, had been fired because of it, finally had a new start, finally got moved in and living with the family, and then that night gets murdered. Like that's just fucking
Ah,
tragic.
it is, yeah. I feel like she got that job on Craigslist.
No, that's definitely a
You know what I mean?
Craigslist
At least
ad.
go to a reputable site. If you got
Or
like spam blockers popping up when you're
I,
trying to get a job, find a different job.
I guess it's Germany, so it'd be Kriegslist, but you know.
I see what you did there. Well, man, that was interesting. So, what's your theory? Like, which one are you picking?
Uh, Again, just because it's
Because
the
I'm
only
going with
one.
Lorenz. Lorenz is my horse in that race.
I think I just really emotionally want to believe that it was Andreas did it and the Lorenz found out and killed him. Like, there's a lot
Some
of good
Romeo and
evidence
Juliet shit. I
pointing to
like it.
that one. Like, there is some pretty good supporting evidence for it. Lorenz
But
did
isn't
not
that
help
what's
his
great
case
about the
any.
time that we live in? You know what I mean? The time that we live in, like, there's somebody that's come up with that theory.
Right. Like,
And it's an interesting theory. It is. I still don't buy it. It just doesn't. It doesn't click for me. Like it doesn't make sense. But it's just interesting that people are thinking about it all these years after that.
now, I will say the one thing that none of the theories touch on is like the footsteps in the attic and shit. Like the fucking footprints leading to the motor shed, other than fucking, Lorenz being like, oh, I just walked backwards. Like,
I also have discovered I need a motor shed because I didn't know. I mean, I guess that's a garage, but
well, no, the motor shed was just like literally a box to put a motor in to help automate things inside the barn. Like that's all it was.
oh shit, yeah, I had a fundamental misunderstanding of what a motor shed was.
There's just a shed
Not
that
bad,
houses
internet.
a motor.
Okay.
I
Man,
will
this one
say
was. I mean, this one
this.
was brutal. It wasn't as. It didn't hurt my heart as much as the last one.
I will say this, coupled with
Like
the
the
last
last one,
one.
I've been thinking about still, and that's just messed up, dude.
Oh
Like you came
yeah,
out the
no,
gate swinging
just
on that one. Like you came swinging with the Matic out that first episode.
figured I might as well set the
Um,
bar high and just hope we never touch it again. Like,
yeah, and then we'll limbo under it. You know what I mean? I mean,
now,
occasionally we'll pole vault over it, but usually we'll just limbo under it.
I will say during the research for this one, right after finishing that first one, has made me paranoid about every little sound in my house, and God, is
I
it
can
hard to
imagine.
sleep at night.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, there've been cases that I've heard of too. I know, like the Dollop did in the Auto in the Walls one about the guy that was like in the walls for like
Auto
20
in the
years,
attic.
sleeping with his wife or whatever. And then there was one where the there was a 16-year-old kid that was like hanging out in the house, and he comes out in a dress with a hatchet one day just to like try to kill the whole family. And that was a messed up story. Like he went to prison, and then he got out, and then he killed the whole family. Not the same family. He went and found a different one. But it's like, what the hell, dude? Like our justice system failing.
Yeah, right. Like, reform and remission is good and all, but some people, I have a feeling, just maybe keep them in. Like,
Are going to be repeat offenders, maybe. But
if
anyway, man,
you,
it has been a pleasure.
as always, yeah.
Yeah. So, you guys have a good week, and we will see you next week.
Oh yeah, next week we will be talking about something hopefully more lighthearted. Let's.
I think next week's my turn, so probably not.
Yeah, well,
I mean, it'll be a little bit different. It's
it's
gonna be
not
a
on
little
me
bit
this
different,
time.
I think.
That's what matters.
No. It's mine. I've found my own rabbit hole. So, yeah, I think you're gonna. This story just I couldn't believe what I was reading. Anyway, we'll get to that.